Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie vlog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we've got some breaking news about a studio being one of the first ones to really go out of their way to make their content that is currently in theaters readily available on demand service as early as this week. So breaking news there. Also, of course, we'll be talking a little bit about the box office because Disney, which we already know Disney is set to lose a lot of money from their parks being closed and from all their movies being pushed back, but they are set to lose around $200 million on their investment into the movie Onward. But let's first start off with the breaking news, and that is that Universal is the first major studio to do something this drastic. Some might argue, well, Disney technically offered things like Star Wars Rise of Skywalker available on demand a little bit earlier than usual. They pushed Frozen 2 out 3 months, and that's all true, but not nearly as close to release as the films that we're about to mention here has a studio done up to this point what Universal has done, and I imagine that other studios are likely going to follow in their footsteps, and I really hope that they end up following in their footsteps with a much lower price tag, because I do think what they're asking for for just rental alone is a little bit outrageous. But let's go ahead and dive into it. So Universal making Invisible Man, The Hunt. Remember, The Hunt just came out. Emma, which was in limited release and has just gotten a wide release the last week or two. Invisible Man has only been out for a series of weeks as well. Definitely still fresh in its being in theaters season. In fact, I can go ahead and pull this up right now. The movie has been it's only been out for 3 weeks. So 3 weeks after release, it's being released on video on demand. Again, as I said, this is unprecedented where this has happened so quick to release. So in an unprecedented crunch, according to Deadline.com, of the theatrical window as several markets across the U.S. closed down in response to the safety from CV as well as worldwide, NBC Universal Pictures officially making their current movies in the cinematic release, Blumhouse's The Invisible Man and The Hunt, and Focus Features Emma, available in homes as early as this Friday for on-demand 48-hour rental at the suggested price of $19.99. Now, I think that is definitely a little bit outrageous for a rental to be $20 when it's so much cheaper to go out to the actual theater. To me, I think that they would be a lot smarter if they were going to make the rental closer to like maybe $10, because I think they'd get a lot more rentals, and also it would create some competition, especially when you're trying to hopefully not push people to go outside of their house and to go to the theater when they don't have to. I feel like it would be a better move on their part to offer it for a cheaper price. But again, this is pretty much unprecedented. So because of that fact, I will definitely give some grace here, because I'm thinking that when they realize that they could have made more money, hopefully either by competition, other studios doing something similar, maybe offering a better price, maybe going down to $15. Again, competition is eventually going to lead to the drop in pricing here on this venue, because again, they're the first ones to do it. So we'll have to wait and see what other studios do, especially ones with streaming services. Looking at you, Disney. In addition, with the outlook of the theatrical marketplace unclear, DreamWorks animation Trolls World Tour, which was scheduled to be first theatrical release comeback title down the road in the midst of CV climate on the Easter weekend, April 10th, will now go day and date in homes on the big screen. Trolls World Tour doesn't roll out widely offshore until April 20th, and in those markets, the sequel will also be available on video on demand rental as well as cinemas. Already, Trolls World Tour has large marketing campaign already underway, including the conglomerates Comcast, NBC Universal, and Sky's cross-company Symphony support. So very big news there too, that Trolls World Tour, so hard for me to say for some reason, will also be getting an at-home release almost on the same day as its theatrical release. It's already been pushed back because of CV, and now it's going to be released on home video release as well. As I said, this is unprecedented stuff going on right here. So again, Universal, which of course is owners of DreamWorks, are going to be releasing several movies, including The Invisible Man and The Hunt, and Emma, as well as Trolls World Tour. I'm so struggling to say that. So big question, of course, is going to be, are there going to be other studios that are going to follow in their footsteps? With the case of Disney, they've already released Frozen 2 on their paid-for service at no extra fee of Frozen 2 on their service. I'm wondering if they're going to do something similar. Could they do something and say, hey, you know what, we're going to release Mulan on demand, and I don't think that they would go for a lower price, but let's say they say, all right, we're going to have it be at the average price of a ticket, which I think would be around $15 across the United States, maybe even less at this point in time. But hey, that would be a way of creating competition. Again, you're having these streaming wars going on already. Might as well try and create some competition to drive those prices down. We'll have to wait and see. But still, huge news nonetheless. We finally have a major movie studio that is releasing their films almost immediately after their release, and sometimes, and rather in one case, actually on the same day as their release. Now let's go ahead and dive into the box office from this past weekend. So obviously, CV was the name name of the game. I mentioned this a little bit on the video I made yesterday, but Onward had a 73% drop from its first weekend. Very bad. Invisible Man only had a 61% drop, which is actually not terrible for its third week. Sonic had a 67% drop, The Way Back 71. As you can see, a lot of the movies dropped in the 60s and 70s pretty much across the board, which really should not be that much of a surprise because a lot of people are deciding to stay home instead. But this kind of a drop-off for Onward does leave Disney in a very precarious situation because being now that the worldwide total for the movie is at $101.7 million. It means that currently, as of right now, if the production budget, which we're assuming is $200 million, they have not released that information yet, so it could be less than this. It could be right on the money. But basically, the movie studio is at negative $238 million. That's $238 million in the red. Based on the projections that I have, it means that the worst case scenario for this movie is that it'll lose Disney $212 million. Best case scenario for Disney, it'll only lose $177 million, meaning that the film, in all likelihood, will probably be somewhere around the $200 million mark in the red, costing Disney dearly. Disney's already losing crap tons of money because of Disney World and Disneyland being closed, because of them having to push back films like Mulan and have to put more money into the marketing for that film to extend that time out. Losing money in a wide variety of ways too. Releasing Frozen on demand, for example. Big reason, big example of them losing out money because those are a lot of people that may have wanted to actually buy that when it came out and would have been willing to buy it early to have access to it, now already have access to it through their streaming service. And so Disney, I think, is going to be the biggest studio affected by these numbers. But as you can see, all the studios across the world, all the markets really across the world, and all industries are being negatively affected. But what is fascinating, because this is something that we've talked about on the channel several times, is the fact that we do see a movement going by the movie studios to having at-home releases going through the digital marketplace. And if Universal had their own streaming service, I would kind of be interested to see if they were actually going to ever release it just on there with no extra premium fee. I think that's the direction that we might actually end up going. Obviously, we have studios like Netflix, for example, that already do that. They release their Netflix movies onto their service usually pretty quickly, unless, of course, it's a bigger budget film where sometimes they split it. They say, okay, you're going to release in theaters first about a month early, and then we're going to have it on the Netflix release date as well. So as you can see, crazy stuff going on in the world right now, but we do finally have a major studio that is indeed embracing the video on demand. I expect other studios to follow in the process. And with schools shutting down across the country, again, my school, we just announced literally today that we're going to be pretty much doing at-home remote learning all the way through mid-April at this point. They have a lot of people at home that is going to be available for this kind of content. So again, businesses still have to make money. They still have to keep the lights on. And so one of the best ways to do that would be to do what Universal's doing. But I think $20 is a little bit steep for a rental. Again, for purchase, makes sense to me. But for a rental, I feel that if they really wanted to make as much money as they could, they would actually lower the price just a little bit to make it a little bit more enticing. Because if you were to have the rental the same price as the average ticket in the United States of America, that might actually be enough to have people say, hey, you know what? I don't actually mind paying that. You know, if you're in a marketplace where it's a little bit cheaper, saying, oh, okay, well, it seems fair. $20 seems a little bit steep for me. But what are your thoughts about it? Do you think that $20 is a fair rate? Do you think that other studios are going to follow in their footsteps? Are you planning to access any of these movies? Again, it's going to be $20 to access it, to rent it. But are you planning on watching any of these movies at home? Just let me know your thoughts on that. And also, box office. Again, crazy stuff going on right now. Do you think that Disney will lose around $200 million? Or do you think that Onward could have a breath of fresh air making extra money when all of the stuff passes, right? If it's going to pass at some point, big question mark, of course, is how long is it going to take for it to have the markets come back to regular? A lot of people are saying that it'd probably take a year, maybe multiple years, for it to be healed at this point in time because of all the damage that's been done. But we'll have to wait and see on that. But anyway, let me know your thoughts about this and all the things we talked about in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash the like button, give me a subscribe, it helps me out. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless. And now to give a special shout out to my March Patreon and Subscribe Star members: animation commentator Brian P., Dion, David Brobrizik, Divex, Elizabeth M., Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, Hail Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Honker Chonker Funky Monkey, Inflame Wood, Urge Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, JJ Jonathan Jerembeck, Kenneth Camiel, Lady T, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Perpetual Punster, Riff Magos, Riff Racer Request, Rosetta Allen, Sir Lancelotto, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, The DJD Show, and Tina B for Patreon. And my Subscribe Star peeps, Robert Revo, Larry, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2Cool99, Darkstar 57, Alex McCarthy, US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J-Rod the Beer Guru, Nevadan G. Adams, and ZK Man, and Mike Jackson. Thank you all so much for being my Patreon and Subscribe Star members for the month of March. You are all amazing people. Thank you so much for the support, and I hope that you are enjoying your perks. If you do not know the perks that you get, make sure you read again through all the perks that are listed, and also check your messages if you're over on Patreon, because if you are a $5 and up backer on Patreon, you get special access to giveaways over on the Discord. I send out messages with a link to join the Discord server. I will then hook you up over there, and you'll have access to some really cool giveaways. I give away 4Ks, Blu-rays, digital codes, try and give away at least a couple of big movies, 4K Blu-ray titles a month, and try to do at least 2 to 3 giveaways for when it comes to digital download codes. And I might try and do a little bit more this month as well, because I'm always trying to add extra stuff to it. And also, if you are a $10 or up backer, then you have access to a special podcast that I'm starting to do with John the Flick Pick. That's right, John Flickinger of the Flick Pick channel. We're having a lot of fun with the podcast, and so expect that every couple weeks. And of course, also any extra behind the scenes, extra footage, extra interviews, extra solo podcasts as well, you will also have access to. And my special $25 and up backers on Patreon Subscribe Star, you have access to all of those things that I've listed. You also get a t-shirt. That's right, I will send you a t-shirt for your first month. And of course, you can also be featured on the Chosen to Valhalla live stream once a month. You get to be featured on the Odin's Movie Blog channel. It's always usually on a Sunday around 12 p.m. Eastern time. You get to join some lovely peeps and have some really great discussion with all of the Chosen of Valhalla and me with the live audience. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.